Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Dan Griffin and I am Support Revolution's Head of Marketing. I'm going to be online today with you to introduce our speaker and to field or forward any of your questions. But just before, some housekeeping points before we begin. We've muted everybody automatically to ensure we have minimal noise disruption, but there is a text chat box on your screen that you can use to send me messages if you have any questions you'd like answered throughout the session, so do make use of that. Today, we're going to be talking about third-party support, specifically by answering some of the questions that we hear on a daily basis. Now, this should hopefully give you a better idea about whether third-party support is right for your organization. We're going to start off by introducing ourselves properly, then work our way through the top 10 questions and answers that we regularly hear, and we'll then finish off by answering your questions live on the webinar. So do make sure you send us your questions in that chat box. But be aware though, if we do run out of time and don't get around to your question, we will make sure that a member of our team gets in touch. So I promise you that any question that you have will go answered. So before we begin, I'll quickly answer the most fundamental question, which is, who is Support Revolution? Support Revolution is a third-party support provider for Oracle and SAP. We replace the vendor directly in the support cycle and can save your organization at least 50% on its annual support and maintenance costs. But that's not all. Not only can we save you money, we also give you back control of your IT strategy, as we support all versions and customizations of both Oracle and SAP software. So that means you can no longer be forced into unnecessary and expensive upgrades by your vendors. You'll learn more about our services throughout the webinar, so I'll move on to introducing our main speaker. Victoria Malloy is Support Revolution's Chief Sales Officer and is in charge of running our sales teams across the world. Victoria's been part of Support Revolution since the beginning, so has extensive experience in both Oracle and SAP support and consultancy, so is obviously the perfect person to answer all of your questions today. So enough with the introductions, we'll get started with the Q&A. So, hello Vic.
Hi Dan.
On to question one. What does Support Revolution actually support? We say Oracle and SAP, but what specifically do we mean?
So predominantly we support all Oracle and SAP software. So anything that a customer owns perpetually and has a perpetual license for that software, we support. So Oracle databases, Oracle technology, Oracle applications, SAP HANA databases, SAP ERP systems, as well as reporting tools such as Hyperion, OBIE, SAP Business Objects, anything that's really a software that sits with the Oracle and SAP. Customers have to own their licenses in perpetuity though, so having that perpetual license allows them to either support themselves or to get support from a third-party vendor such as ourselves. We support all versions, so whether they're currently in Premier support or whether they've gone into extended support, we support all versions of all software, whether it's hosted on-prem, in a cloud, but it really just, it's all software that Oracle or SAP will bill you for that a customer has a perpetual license to use.
Fantastic. And you mentioned a perpetual license there. Mm-hmm. What is perpetual license as compared to a different type of license? So
a perpetual license is when a customer purchases a software and it gives them a lifetime royalty to use that software.
As opposed to a software as a service kind of
software as a service, absolutely. So platform as a service, software as a service, it's more renting the software. With a perpetual license, you own that software in perpetuity and you can kind of CapEx on it as well.
Fantastic. And that's what we work with.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Moving on. Question number two, how do you handle support tickets? So we've signed up a customer, they've come across their first incident. What do they do next?
Okay, so it works in a very similar way that they would have raised a support ticket with the vendor. So they can either raise a support ticket through our portal. So our portal replaces the SAP and Oracle portal. So we use Remedy Force and we give our customers a royalty-free license to use that for as many users as they wish. They can either raise a ticket through the portal, they can send us an email and it'll automatically allocate to their account, or they can pick up the phone and call us. We like our customers, hopefully within the first few months of using the service, to really pick up the phone and speak to us, because it means we get that interaction with them, we can build up the relationship with them. So handling support, so we do everything from how-tos to bug fixes. So if you're a user of the system or your support partner is a user of the system, they would traditionally contact the manufacturer if they've got a problem with the system. So we provide bug fixes. So in that respect, if you came to us and there was a core issue within the code, we would look at your patch archive that we would create as part of your transition with you. And within that archive, if the manufacturer has already produced a fix for you, we would suggest that you or your support partner apply that patch. If there's not one in your archive, we write it for you. So we would use our internal development teams working on creating you a custom fix for your system. It's not one size fits all. There's multiple ways to fix an issue within the system. Traditionally, a customer would have gone to the manufacturer or the vendor and they would have said, okay, well, you might need to upgrade. The problem is fixed within the next upgrade. With our solution, you don't have to upgrade. And actually, we tell you not to upgrade. Because you're having that custom support from us, we can create a fix for you. It's like custom coding the system. But sometimes that's not the right way to do it. It might be that you can change some prefixes within the system and we can fix it in that way. There's lots of different ways to fix an issue and it gets you away from that traditional, it's in the next release, you have to upgrade.
I suppose that's exactly why we can support all customizations as well, because we work with those customizations. Absolutely.
So over the last 21 years of working in the industry, I've come across a handful of customers that have a vanilla implementation of either Oracle or SAP. Most organizations have to customize it to fit their specific needs. And that is the benefit of having an ERP or a solution that's not in a SaaS solution. It means you can customize it to your business's requirements. When we take on any new customer and we're working with them in the transition process, we have some customization tools that we run on their test environments, and it gives us a report of all of their customizations. So what it means is when a customer has an issue in a specifically heavily customized area of the solution, we can then create a fix that's bespoke to them.
Oh, brilliant. And are all of our fixes compatible with Oracle and SAP coding as well?
Absolutely. So we use consultants that have qualifications, many qualifications within the SAP and the Oracle market. So they understand how to code within those parameters.
Fantastic. Third question, how do you guarantee your support quality?
Okay, so this is a question we get asked a lot, and really it comes down to us as an organisation. So we love working with our customers, and we call it a partnership. We're not an extended support team. We work in partnership with our customers. So everything we do to the highest quality that we can, and that means that we follow ITIL. We invest heavily in ISO, so 9001 and 27001. And all of our processes follow those regulations. SLAs are incredibly important to us as an organisation. So everything we do with a customer is measured and monitored against those SLAs. And we report on those SLAs in real time through Remedy Force. Remedy Force, we can't edit, we can't change. It's real time reporting for all of our customers. But it comes down to going back to the good old days when you had a dedicated core team that look after your systems. So we know your systems. We spent time with you in transition. We sit down with you every month. So someone from the service team will come and sit down with you and review your incidents that you've opened, but you also have that account manager to just make sure that the service is being provided correctly. And having that relationship with our customers allows us to make sure that the quality of the service is always maintained. As well as those regular meetings, we make sure we have regular touch points, so weekly calls with yourselves, the customers, or weekly calls with your support partners, depending on how the customer would like us to manage that for them. But those regular touch points allow us to be more proactive than reactive, and it means that we can keep the quality of service high.
Fantastic. And it kind of links onto that, but how do our SLAs work? Because I'm guessing as part of the ITIL, we have SLAs that fit into that service delivery.
Absolutely. So our SLAs reflect ITIL, so impact and urgency. Priority 1, for example, is high impact to the business, high urgency to the business. We treat it as a priority 1. We have SLAs against response and resolution, which I understand not every organisation does. So everyone can respond with an automation from a system, but we make sure we respond with a person. So when your ticket is allocated to us, it's given to the correct person within the organisation. That consultant then takes charge of that ticket. So they will respond to you within the target response time. They then own that ticket. They will also use the assistance of all the other consultants, of course, but they will be solely responsible for ensuring that we resolve that within the time as well. So priority 1, for example, resolution time is SLA at 2 hours. As part of that, we will make sure we work with the customers. So regular updates, for example, a priority one, we create what we call a war room, and then we will update the customer every 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on how they would like to be communicated with. And we make sure we resolve it within that time. And it's the customer that says, this ticket is resolved, you can now close it.
Great, so it's customer led basically.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Brilliant. Moving on to question 4, is there a security risk not being with the vendor? How do we handle security?
Okay, so moving away from Oracle or SAP does mean that you're moving away from the traditional way that the vendors patch their systems and keep them secure. What we found talking to organizations that we've onboarded or organizations that we're talking with, traditionally the vendor will release a security patch every month or every quarter. Then organizations have to go through a process of applying that. So they have to go through their internal CAB processes, which in some cases we found can take 3 to 6 months before actually that security patch is applied to the system. Now that's a very traditional way of patching a system. What we've done is we find that we use Trend Micro. So Trend Micro is our alternative security solution for our customers. And instead of having to wait every quarter or every month for your security patch, we can release them almost immediately. So every 12 hours, the security is reviewed. Trend Micro is an agent that sits on servers where the software sits, and it's rule-based. So we sit down with the customer security teams, understand what their rules are, and then that means as and when a vulnerability is detected, the system can be patched based on those rules at server level.
So it's almost like a firewall that sits around the whole set of systems.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Fantastic.
It's a firewall, and it's by customer. So some of our customers, we manage that for them. Some of our customers, they manage it themselves with their security team. So it's down to the customer, and we work with them in any way that we can.
Sounds like a massive improvement though. I mean, it sounds traditional patching, you could be waiting 6-7 months before you actually get your system safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And also what we found is when some customers go to apply those patches, it might be one fix that they need, and then 3 or 4 others that are released with it might break or they're not needed. So with this, it's literally just applying what the customer needs against their rules.
Brilliant. And so moving on to the next question, do I still get access to the vendor portal? I'm assuming this is the kind of the self-service stuff.
When you move away from Oracle or SAP, you do lose access to their portals. But we replace that with Remedyforce. Remedyforce has 21 years now of knowledge base articles that we've built up internally. But it's kind of going back to what our ethos is as an organization. If you're working with us to provide support, let us do the work. So instead of having to go into Oracle Support or SAP Warehouse to find your own answers to the questions, use our team, work with us. That's what we're here for. So raise a support ticket with us. Let us go and find the fix to your solution, or if you've got a question. So I'm a how-to, I'm thinking of doing this, I'm thinking of implementing that. Let us do that. Everything that we do is logged in Remedyforce, so you can see that in real time. As I've said before, we can't adjust it or change it. It is there in real time. So you do lose access to Oracle Support and SAP Warehouse, but we replace that with Remedyforce, and you can have as many users on it as you wish. Internally or with your support partner, there's no limit on the amount of people that can have access to that.
Brilliant. Moving on to question 6, how can you afford to cut my bill in half?
That's a good question. We get asked that a lot. In reality, the vendors are charging customers support and maintenance, but they're taking a lot of the money that they get from their customers and investing it to research and development for new products. And over the few years that have gone recently, the manufacturers are putting that money into cloud solutions. So you're paying an annual subscription to them every year to be able to have support and the maintenance on the system, but they're putting it into their SaaS models. And actually, you're not getting the value out of that. With our support model, all we're doing is supporting you. We're not reinvesting any of our support money into developing new products. All we're doing is investing that into the people that are looking after your systems. And that's how we're able to cut your support bills in half and still provide a good service.
Makes sense. Question 7, how does transition to your service work? So third-party support sounds great, Support Revolution sounds great, I want to join. What happens next once I've signed up?
Okay, so within the sales process, we will work with you to make sure we can transition in time. The main thing is to work back from when your support renewal is with the vendor. and then we can work back from there. Traditionally, we like about 3 months to be able to provide that the whole process in its entirety. So when a customer is signed up with us, they will be assigned a project manager from our side, and we really take over and we help through the whole process. So you'll be assigned a project manager, and we have a kick-off meeting with you. In that kick-off meeting, we will come down to your offices and meet with yourselves, meet with your support partners, and really get a good understanding of not only your software, but the roadmap for that software. So are you looking to move your ERP into a cloud? Are you looking to transition away from that current ERP and move along to another service? And once we've got that information, we can then start looking at the infrastructure. So where is that sitting at the moment? What is the roadmap looking like? That then gives us an overall picture of what you would like to do within your archive. So the archive is the critical part of any transition, and we work with our customers to help them download the software that they're entitled to before the renewal dates. So once we've got that information, we can then help you write your archiving process. And as part of that, we will come and sit and basically hold your hand through the process. What do you need to download? What do you not need to download? Because no one wants to have storage for a piece of software that they're no longer going to use. And that whole process can take 2 to 3 months to make sure it's done correctly, because you have to make sure that we're adhering to the manufacturers and the vendors' regulations as part of that. Alongside that, we will start by setting you up on our Remedy Force system, which is obviously key, because when you move away from the vendor, you want to make sure that you've got a system ready to go. So we'll provide you training documentation of how that works. We'll also come down on site again to meet with your support teams. So if you've got an in-house support team, we'll come and meet with them and just run through a couple of tickets and a couple of tests with them as well. Point, we would love to have access to a test or a dev environment of our customers via VPN, gated VPN, gated access. It allows us to be able to react quickly to support tickets that we've got. Not all customers allow us to do that straight away. Security sometimes takes a little bit of a long time with customers, but if we can have access via VPN, it means that we don't have to rely on the customer so much when they raise a ticket. So instead of them sending information backwards and forwards, it just means our team can go in,
fix it at source,
and it just takes the pressure off the customers as well. VPN connection can be done at a later stage, but if we can get it done in transition, that's great. And then it's as simple as switching over. So midnight, when your support stops, we take over and off we go.
One of the things I often hear when I end up talking to customers for case studies and things like that is the fact that we take on the old tickets that Oracle and SAP are still open or been unable to solve, and they're always surprised at the fact we can solve them during the transition process. So that's a good thing as well. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things where customers might have support tickets open with the vendors for 6 months, 12 months. Sometimes we found, especially if they're on older versions of software that are no longer supported, those tickets are not going to be fixed because maybe they're not in Premier support anymore. So we take on all open tickets with the vendor. Some customers like to keep them with us and the vendor to see who can fix them first. But no, we welcome all open support tickets as well. It just means that you've got that ability to be able to get two organisations looking at it. And because we're not restricted as a support organisation by saying you have to upgrade or it's in the next release, we can start working on any fixes that are required straight away.
Fantastic. Moving on to question 8, what happens to my software licenses when I move to third-party support?
You still own the licenses. So you've got perpetual licenses, you will still own them. What we do as part of the sales process is kind of an added value of part of the service. So yes, you're cutting your support bills in half, but actually moving to third-party support with us means that you're no longer paying for support for software that you're not using. So we find a lot of customers have a substantial amount of shelfware. So for example, they might have 10 items of software on an invoice that they pay, but they're only using half of that software. So they're only using 5 items of the software. So before we even start with a price for a customer, we will remove any shelfware that they're no longer using, and then we cut that support bill in half of the remaining software.
Which is why people can get more than the 50%. Yeah,
absolutely. I think last year it was between 60 and 70% it averaged out. But it does go above that. Yeah. If you can imagine you're an organisation at one point who brought finance, HR, payroll, and it's all on one invoice, but you've actually changed your HR payroll system, you're going to have to still pay for that under the agreement. But moving to third party just means you don't have to pay for that anymore.
Brilliant. And does that mean the licenses become static when you come to third party, or can you get more if you're expanding the organisation?
Of course, no. So you're still a customer of the vendors. So at any point you can go and buy more licenses. You might need more database licenses, or you might need to buy a whole new module, for example, that you want to attach to your current system. You can still do that. You just don't have to pay for support and maintenance. Makes sense.
Thank you. Question 9. Why choose Support Revolution? So I think this is more of a two-stage question, really. One is, why choose third-party support? And then the next would be, why choose Support Revolution specifically once you've bought into the idea of third-party support?
Third-party support it's beneficial for everybody at the right time. So if you're looking for better support, and what I mean by better support is more proactive rather than reactive. If you've got a piece of software that you feel like you're raising a support ticket, it gets passed around the world, nobody takes responsibility for it, and at some point it will be fixed. The benefit of moving to third-party support is everything's done under an SLA. There's no response as we'll put it in the development queue or we'll get back to you at some point. Really, going into contracted with us means every support ticket you raise is under the SLA. And having that management team that focus on that as well means you really are getting a better level of support. You also get your account management as part of it as well. Some organisations have to pay the vendors for additional account management. That comes as standard as part of our services that we provide. It's really important with us to make sure we're working in partnership with our customers and not just reactively fixing issues. If your software is either out of mainstream support or within the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to be going out of mainstream support, then third-party support really should be one of the options that you're looking at as an organisation. So you have an option to either upgrade or look at third-party support, as well as obviously looking at other solutions and at what's out there in the market. But really, if you're still paying for the support and maintenance on a piece of software that actually is not being supported to the level it should be. So it's an excellent opportunity to look at third-party support without having to do an upgrade. And it's less disruption to the business and obviously a lot more cost effective. Organisations are looking to save money. Absolutely, third-party support is one of those things where you say, actually, I know in my budget next year, I can cut my support bills in half at least. Then definitely look at third-party support, because there's not many options out there that you can cut that bill in half without having to make way for, I don't know, additional features that you've got to buy or anything like that as well. If you want to freeze your assets, if you're saying as an organisation, we're cloud first. Cloud first is what we hear a lot with customers at the moment. You're cloud first. Okay, but that can take a while. It can take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Why not look at the current system you're using at the moment, sustain it in the version that it's on with fantastic support without having to upgrade, cut your support bills in half, and that actually pays for your new cloud system. So you can reinvest that in other technology within the business or a new system. And it just gives you the opportunity to be able to do that without having to make any additional changes or spend any more money on the system that you've got at the moment. And absolutely, finally, if you're over licensed, it's one of the biggest things we get called up on from customers. They're saying, we've got all of this software, we've had it for 10, 15 years, the bill's growing, the use of it is coming down, but we're still having to pay full support and maintenance for everything. It's a great opportunity to take a red pen to the invoices that you get at the moment and say, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Let's look at support somewhere else.
Makes sense. So that's third-party support. So once you're bought into the idea of third-party support, why would you specifically choose Support Revolution?
I mean, a lot of customers that come to us say it really is our history. So this is our 21st year in business this year. Having that Oracle and SAP partnership for that time really gives us a great understanding of the market, a fantastic understanding of the software, and it gives organizations that come to us that comfort that we know what we're talking about. We're trusted. We work with some of the most respected organizations around the world. So when customers come on board, if they're kind of unsure of who we're working with, we put them in contact with these customers and all those concerns seem to go out the window. as well as us providing third-party support, we do also provide a consultative support model as well. So because we've got that 21-year history of being an Oracle and SAP partner, we can also provide value add as part of that too. So managed services, database managed services, functional managed services, basis support. We're also an Amazon and a Microsoft partner. So many of our customers say, well, actually, we've got our ERP, it's in third-party support with you at the moment, but we still want to go to cloud. So that doesn't stop you. So a lot of our customers, we are now transitioning from their on-premise solution. We're moving their ERP into Amazon or Microsoft, so Azure or AWS as well. So it just gives them a more rounded approach, as well as providing third-party support. We can do the consulting arm of it as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. I've been a bit cheeky. So I mentioned there's the top 10 frequently asked questions. We've only gone through 9. That's because the last question or set of questions is going to be directly from the audience. Several of you have sent in a few great questions, so I'll ask them live. So Vic, the first question we've got through is this legal? Now, I'm assuming they're talking about third-party support as a whole, and maybe referencing some legal cases, but is this legal?
Third-party support is definitely legal if it's done correctly and in the right way. So as I mentioned quite a few times throughout this process, you have to make sure the customer is licensed appropriately. So they have to have their licenses in perpetuity, which is the first tick in the box to ensure that you do this correctly. And then you have to make sure that any archive you're downloading or any splitting of software is done appropriately based on the vendor's rules and regulations as well. And obviously, because we have that experience of being an SAP and an Oracle consultancy, we assist the customers in that transition to make sure everything's done legally.
Fantastic. And from the same person, what do vendors think about third-party support?
At the end of the day, we're a competitor. We are a competitor of it. But in my opinion, which is what I can give you, I believe the vendors are focusing now on their SaaS solutions. SAP have been very clear, 2025, HANA, that's the way we're going. Oracle are pushing Oracle Cloud or Fusion onto customers at the moment. And I think that is the way the world is going. But at the moment, there are many, many, many organizations that we're talking to that are saying, not now. It's either not ready, it's not the right time for the business to move to it, can't afford it, all those things. So where the vendors are really focusing on their SaaS models and that solution, it's leaving a big market of organizations that really want to still be an SAP and an Oracle customer, but they're not ready to go to SaaS. So I think Oracle and SAP are focused on that. And if these customers are still using the software, it just allows them to still be maintaining that approach with them as well. So I'm sure they're not a massive fan of us taking on third-party support because it does mean they lose customers, but you're still getting organizations that are running Oracle and SAP software, and they can still go back to the vendors in the future. Because purchasing SaaS licenses are a rebuy, so you're not migrating to an upgrade, you're migrating to a new system. You have to go back to the vendor and buy new licenses for these products anyway. So if these customers that we're working with are saving at least 50% on their traditional Oracle and SAP support, it means they're saving the money and they can reinvest into maybe future SaaS products with the vendors.
Fantastic. You've kind of touched on one of the other questions we got, so I'll ask that one next. Can I revert back to the vendor support after X number of years? So
at the moment, the Oracle and SAP are saying if you go back to them within a period of time, you will have to pay backdated support, which is fair. You've obviously moved away. So making the decision to move to third-party support is part of a plan that an organization is doing. So it's not you go to it for a year, save some money and go back to SAP or Oracle. You can go to their SaaS solutions, but you have to buy the licenses anyway. So you're not in breach of any licensing or any backdated support. It's a conversation that customers will have to have with Oracle and SAP if they wanted to go back on their current ERP platform.
Makes sense. But nothing that we do to their platform would stop that migration back.
Absolutely not. No, we have had customers in the past who have been with us for a number of years, and we've, for example, created payroll patches for their system. And then they've gone back to the vendor and just upgraded to the latest release, and over the top of the changes that we've made to the system.
Makes sense. I'm conscious of time, so we'll go for one last question, which is, does third-party support work with outsourced IT providers?
Absolutely. Part of our engagement with our customers is making sure we have a very strong relationship with their IT partners that they have at the moment, because they're the ones that we're going to be speaking to. They're the SIs that traditionally would have gone to Oracle and SAP. We need to make sure we have that relationship with them, and we invest a lot of time also in the support partners that our customers work with, as well as the customers.
Makes sense. We've just got a last question coming in. Do you provide managed services?
Absolutely. So we do. So everything from a fully managed service. So some of our customers say, well, okay, well, we're moving away from vendor support. We would like you to look after the databases and the application, so BAU support. We do that, but it is obviously an additional extra to what we would provide in third-party support.
Makes sense. Fantastic. And thank you very much for your time, Victoria.
Thank
you. Any questions that we've not got around to answering, thank you very much for sending them in. We will contact you separately via email or phone, just to let you make sure that we've not left any unanswered. If you do want to get in contact with us directly, our contact details are on the screen at the moment. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.
Thank you.